I saw you brought on somebody. You have somebody.
Yeah.
You have a
My
hire.
guy, shout out Ezra. I don't know if he's gonna watch this. Probably not.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
you.
great.
How was hiring? Because that's something that I've actually thought about going into next year. Is bringing on. So for me, it would be more of like a mix assistant role.
Yeah. I've
But like,
I've
how was
I can
that?
put you in touch with somebody actually that I know that's really great for that. Who I've worked with historically remotely. It's great, man. Yeah, I think I regret not hiring more earlier. The Ezra came to me, and I get inquiries all the time on the website because I'm running Google Ads. So when people search for studios in Seattle, I pop up there, and so I'm spending ad money on on receiving inquiries for internships, whether I like it or not.
Yeah,
So people hit me all the time, and they're like, I want to come in and be an intern. I'm learning music production, or I just graduated from la di da di da. I want a place
sure.
to learn. Can I sit in on sessions? Can I learn from you? And every single time, I'm always like, I'm not in a place to be hiring right now, but definitely stay in touch. And because it's been so just like I'm just in here by myself grinding it out. I'm just trying to do as many sessions as I can. I don't have any work. Psychologically, it's like I don't have any work to break off for somebody, and the space is so small that I can't really have extra bodies in here during the session.
Yeah.
It's not like you can. It's too small of a space for you to just chill in the background. Like you're going to be sitting on the couch with the artist. If you're in here, and so it's just too small. And so when Ezra hit me up, it was at a time where I've been doing this now for 6 years, and the overhead here, it just, for me, the cost of running the studio, I want to take it to the next level. I want to be competing with the big studios, and the cost of doing that in terms of overhead, it just keeps going up and up and up. So in order to spread that overhead cost out, I need to have to maximize the use of the space. I need to be increasing the volume of sessions per week that I'm doing, and I'm maxed out myself. I can't work.
You have
anymore.
to have another person.
I have to have other people taking the volume. So he emailed me, and it was just like any other email. He's like, "Hey man, I've been producing artists. I work in Ableton. I want to just like learn." And so for the first time, I was like, this guy seems like he might be legit,
Yeah.
And so he came up, we talked on the phone. He came up, we chatted for a little bit. And then I just started tossing him into it. I started calling artists like, hey man, I got a guy that I'm training, come in, do a session on me, see what he do, And so, he's been through it all, in he's getting the works, he's getting
You're working them.
He's getting just the, those guys that are trying to do 4 songs in an hour, he's getting those guys, he's getting his reps in. And I basically, it's just like, I'm trying to give him as much opportunities and as much experience as fast as possible, because what he has, he doesn't like, he's just basically getting started. So he doesn't have a strong technical background in the mixing or the engineering, but what he does have is he's just a good person to work with. You can't teach that. You can't teach those client facing skills. Like, at least I can't.
Yeah.
I'm decently on the spectrum probably, for what it's worth, and it's so I'm not going to be able to teach him how to deal with clients, because I have my own character flaws and stuff that make me a good fit for some people and not for other people. He's a very nice guy, and very creatively open, and he's got good production chops. And so I don't really care about the mixing or the technical stuff. I need him to be able to work creatively with people, and provide that in a way that I can't because of my own my own internal hangups. So he's going
what
to
is
excel,
I was gonna say,
hopefully.
what is his actual capacity with you right now? So he is handling sessions that you can't do, or is he editing for you, or what's the
He's doing
capacity really?
sessions. Yeah, he's working. He's available on Sundays and Mondays for sessions right now, and I'm going to put him on for another day here, probably starting next week. And basically, he's just yesterday he got his very first client that I didn't know who it was, and I've never worked with, and
Oh,
they
dang.
just booked off the website, and they had a great session. And so he's he's doing amazing. I'm so
That's awesome, dude.
and there's still so much to teach him, and he's got so
Hmm.
much to learn. But he's yeah, I'm really grateful. And he might leave at any moment, and I fully support him in whatever future endeavors he goes
Yeah.
on to do. Uh, but
But you want to
I'm
set
gonna
him up to like
yeah yeah.
be successful, right? Yeah, yeah.
Here's what I'd share with you too, though, about the hiring thing, is that for everything that I'm doing with him, whenever he needs to learn a technical process, say like bouncing stems, what
Hmm.
I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do a screen recorded video, and then I'm writing a checklist that's going to go in a Notion document, or Google Sheets or whatever, Google
Yeah.
Docs, and all of that material. So I've got how to set up a project, the workflow for recording vocals, the workflow for setting up and mixing a vocal, the workflow for mix bus and mix bus and mastering in the session, just to get a loud master in the session. All these things, I'm working on the processes for them, and also just how to work in the ones outside of the computer too, just like or in the computer, but like setting up a project, saving the project file organization, all that stuff, documenting it, checklisting it, so that when the next person comes in, all that material is just ready to go, and
Yeah.
Ezra can administer that material to the next person. And
And onboard
eventually
them.
this whole thing runs with as little involvement from me directly in the weeds as possible. I mean, I'm always going to
Hmm.
be in the weeds to some extent, but
Sure.
the
But you're not having to reteach stuff every
um
single time to as much detail.
that's the idea. That's the end goal. And so
Hmm.
when I find myself reteaching something to him, that's when I'm like, oh, I need to develop a process and a checklist and a video tutorial for this. Or if he's got something that I know, like the other day he needed to bounce stems for somebody, which he's hasn't had to do yet, in export
Yeah.
like stems at a high, at a level that's like will be acceptable for another engineer to take, basically.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't going to be there for the session, so I just made the whole video, whole checklist for him. Takes me about 20 minutes to do it, and then just send him off to the races.
Hey, yeah, man. I've kind of started doing that a little bit. It's funny. I started doing that more for like, I wonder if I can turn this into content
Oh yeah,
rather
yeah, yeah, yeah.
than is this something that I could do for a potential hire? But
It's both, though. It is
it's
both,
kind of both. Yeah, it's kind
because
of both.
those things can ultimately become yeah. And what to do with all that stuff, whether you turn it into a lead magnet, or because there's
Yeah.
some of those things are so functional and so
Yeah.
purposeful that they're not really going to perform in the algorithm like a good piece of content, or they're not maybe the most searched for thing, but they could potentially be a good lead magnet, or like some
Yeah.
they're a valuable asset to have no matter what.